Hi folks, just want to say massive hello to all the English Defence League. God bless you all, you know, great beautiful people, all of you. Just going to be going through a lot of the points today on what's happened in the EDL in recent months this year and where we're going to be going next year, and just tackling a lot of subject matter that people are curious about because they haven't heard anything for obvious reasons. Tommy's in prison and I'm on police bail, but there's still lots happening and we're still really busy. Right, so to get to that, we've had a fantastic year. You know, there's been so much. We've been so busy. We've achieved so much. It's all down to yourselves. Bottom line, it's all about the foot soldiers' feet on the street. That's what it's about, and it's also about a lot of support that can't come out on the street. There's far more people support us than come on the street. I can tell you that for nothing. There's millions of people support us and agree with us. What we've got this year, we've had massive success against campaigning to stop the excessive building of mosques. The child grooming gangs, they've been smashed all over the country. That's all down to the English Defence League. That's a fact, it's undisputable. The press and the television, the media, they'll never give us the kudos for that. But it is because of us. That's it. The pressure that we've brought to book as the English Defence League, tirelessly campaigning against child grooming and rape and by Pakistani Muslim paedophile organised gangs, because of the noise and the noise we've been making. They're tackling it now every day on the television. That's all down to you good folks out there, the supporters of English Defence League and the counter-jihadists. You know, nothing could be achieved without you. That's it. It's not about one person in this organisation. It's not about two. It's not about three. It's about all of us as a collective. You know, as a movement, and it's a belief, in something that's righteous, you know, good and wholesome and decent, in protecting our way of life and our children's futures. And because of that, you know, the passion that comes out of people and the commitment and the endeavours, and that shows the proof's in the pudding. And it's just simply down to you, the public, the members of the English Defence League. You know, thank God for you, really. So because of that, like I say, the mosques are getting stopped, the planning's being challenged. We've got the child grooming gangs all over the country. The length and breadth of this country are being smashed. You know, that's a great thing. You know, they keep trying to give some sort of standing or grounds to eradicate the English Defence League. You couldn't make this sort of stuff up, really. I mean, we're standing against something that's backward, evil, retarded, that's sinister, that's brutal, sadistic. And they're campaigning against us for it. We're being protested against for standing up against that. You know, because we're standing up against the Sharia and against the Islamisation of this country, we're going to be persecuted and penalised for it and demonised, which we have been. Some more than most. Jailed, loss of liberty, attacked, violence, you know, whatever may come. But I think we're all prepared to deal with whatever comes. So once again, it's a massive thank you, you know, and I'm standing here on Christmas Eve just to personally put a message out to you. Obviously, Tommy's in prison, so he can't do it, God bless him. Otherwise, he would normally be doing it, I would imagine. And it's a massive thank you, you know, straight from myself, you know, and Tommy and all the organisation, the ROs and the media support group and everybody involved, the divisional leaders and all the hard workers within the divisions. You know, it's a massive, give all yourselves a pat on the back because you thoroughly deserve it, you know, you're fantastic people. You know, I've never seen such commitment and passion in anything in my life as I've met in the English Defence League. And I say it all the time, but it's true, you know, it's really inspiring, but it's extremely humbling for me, on a personal level. So that's to start that with, so, you know, thank you very much, God bless you all. Right, now, to go through some issues that happened this year. People are talking about, obviously there's a lot of gossip, the gossip mongers, the rumour vills, so now you get it from the horse's mouth and as to whys and what's fors and whens and hows. So we've got this Dowson and Golding from this Britain First. But what can I say about these pair of clowns, you know? You're not fooling anybody. And you're not coming into our movement and robbing the people. You're not going to do it. You're a pair of muggy mushrooms, right? and you really need to just do one, you know, and you don't want to ever be in my company. That's all I can tell you on that. These individuals, folks, what they want is they want to drain finances. They're only about the money. That's all about is the green. These are the two individuals that brought down the BNP for the financial side of it. They blame Simon Bennett. Load of rubbish. Simon Bennett, quality lad. Really good lad. Not about the money. These two individuals, Golden and Dowson, all about the money. They contacted me. I didn't know who they was. Myself and Tommy were driving to a meet, and I put my loudspeaker, and they basically come across, well, yes, Kev, we want to make you as much, we can make you thousands and thousands of money for your movement. Okay, who are you? Oh, we're this, we're that. And they explained who they was, boring stuff, but boring individuals. But what they did was, they said, we used to make the BNP 60 to £80,000 a month, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh yeah, really? I said, well, what are you contacting me for? They said, we want to make that sort of money for you, you know, for your movement. I said, well, you know, if you want to make us money as a movement to help and assist us in our fight against militant Islam, crack on, you know, good luck to you. Oh, well, it doesn't work like that, Kev, he says. I said, well, how does it work? He said, well, you have to give us all, we needed access to your database for your members. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not going to happen. That is just never going to happen. So basically they wanted me to hand over all the information, private personal information on our members, so they could mass email them, mass spam them, begging letters, and take the money. But these individuals, if they made 20,000, they'd give over 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 even, and keep the 18 or whatever. And that's how they blow. And there's dozens of companies behind these two, and this is what they do. You know, this is how they make their living. So Britain First. What clowns? I mean, you are town clowns. Wherever you live, you must be the town clown. So, you know, my advice to you folks is do not get sucked in by them. That's all they're after is the money. Myself and Tommy, we just laugh at them really, because they're real spiel merchants. They've got all the gab and all the talk, but that's what they do. They talk a good job and they siphon money out of people. So I'm not going to allow that to happen to our members. That's just not going to happen. So we jogged them on, and now they've got their claws in and started attacking us and me personally and stuff like that. Well, you can do what you like, lads, you know, and you're just not going to get anywhere, you know, because I will mug you off because you are a couple of mugs, and you deserve mugging off, and I am mugging you off right now. You have just been mugged off because you are mugs. I don't know how more complicated I have to make that. So that's the Britain First thing. Check them out. They're so corrupt. Dozens of companies at Companies House, and corruption and filtering money away from the BNP and living a nice champagne lifestyle. Jog them on, folks. It's the best thing you can do. These are the sort of blokes that get money on the guise of sending sick kids to Disneyland in Florida and keep the money. Sick kids with cancer. This is the type of thing that these individuals do. You know, the lowest of the low. So away they go. They're kicked into touch. Right, that's them clowns dealt with. We've done the RI thing. Mark Dunbar, good lad. Right, now also, yeah, what it is. Right, Tommy put a statement out. We'll get to Tommy in a minute as well. Tommy put a statement out saying this year all Patriots welcome back, which is fine, you know, all good lads that work back, you know, we've had, if it's a little, you know, sometimes people fall out, you know, it's a big boys game, you know, it's big boys rules at the end of the day, and grown-ups fall out and exchange words and this, that and the other to a degree, and as long as it's not violent or, you know, there's things said that are irretractable, you know, I'm more than prepared to let water under the bridge. Let's move forward. I just don't want to live in the past. If we spend too much time digging up the past, we'll bury the future. And that's how I have it in my head. And that's why we always got to move forward. That's the way I think as well. Just keep moving forward. So the likes of a lot of lads from North West, North East and scattered around here and there, you know, I've got no problems with this, you know. They're all good lads, to be honest with you. I didn't have any personal problems with them in the first place. So I don't know what happened there sometimes. But what he didn't mean was any groups like National Front, Combat 18, white supremacist neo-Nazi muppets, right? Because that's all they are, scumbag muppets. I'm not having anything, and I know Tommy won't. We as a movement are not going to have anything to do with National Front, C18, white supremacist neo-Nazis. They're all a bunch of wet blankets, you know, a bunch of moronic saddos. And I'm not going to stand, and I hope you won't either, yeah, because I'm not going to stand with someone wearing a swastika or preaching neo-Nazi values after our forefathers and generations before us lost millions of human beings fighting against these very scumbags, and now we have them on our shores. British Nazis, you know, doing Sieg Heils. I mean, it shows you how moronic they must be, that they don't even understand what they're doing when they're Sieg Heiling, praising Hitler. This is the level of mentality with these morons. So that's what Tommy didn't mean, them groups. So they won't be coming back anywhere, you know. There's no National Front in my town of Luton because myself and a few of my friends, a lot of West Indian lads as well, together, we kicked their backsides, you know, a couple of times now. So we don't have them in our town. We won't allow extremists in our town of any nature. So, you know, the icing on that is all those neo-Nazi muppets, mugs, you know, 50% of my death threats come from groups like that. Same as Tommy. So they can jog on. You know, they won't be welcome. And you get a size 11 out your backside if you turn up at our dues. Right, another subject matter. Right, support group. We've got the media support group. Fantastic people, hard-working, real good folks. You know, great people like, we've got Hel, Nem, Pyrus. You know, there's loads of people in there. I say loads, and there's not. You know, there's a few good people in there. We could do with some more help in that support group. Now, the thing with people, a lot of gossip and rumour. Absolute gossip and tittle-tattle. Not worth the paper it was written on. A lot of people giving Hel a lot of stick. I'm not happy about it, you know, because she's mine and Tommy's PA. So therefore, by that very nature, she's privy to a lot of personal information, a lot of private information that she'll find out before we do, because she's the contact. So she'll notify me and Tommy about stuff that we won't know about. So she'll probably be the first one to know, because she is the point of contact for outside sources. But she has nothing to do with the running of the English Defence League. She does not run the English Defence League. You know, get a grip. You know, she's just a hard-working lass that does work extremely hard. I mean, if we ask Hel to do something, bang, it's done. As quick as that. You know, she's on the money. And she's fantastic at what she does. So, but as far as running the English Defence League goes, rubbish. You know, absolute drivel. She has nothing to do with anything to do with the finances, merchandise. That's all to do with the senior RO, Tim. So that's all. That's with somebody else. She has nothing to do with that whatsoever. So that's another load of gossip spread by these breakaway imbeciles that just spreading gossip. Then she has nothing to do with the Facebook page. That's run by the ROs. It's nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with Hel. Hel is a PA for Tommy and me. And she, a lot of it I think is that if people get their noses put out of joint because she's in that position where she is close to us, and we do talk to her every other day, every day, and deal with information. That's, you know, that's what her job is, and she's fantastic at doing her job. So, you know, let's have no more of gossip and rumourville spread by false patriots and idiots trying to assassinate Hel Gower because they've got a problem with some woman. But let's bear in mind, the media support group, they've got their own woes to deal with in life. They're volunteers. They're only answerable to me and Tommy. That's it. They're not answerable to anybody else, the ROs or anybody else, because it saves all the flack, because it saves all the gossip and all this sort of stuff that we're doing now. They work, they come home, they've got families, but they have to pick up the laptop and start doing all the stuff on the main website, the .org sites, all the Facebook stuff, the stories, you know, everything. You know, that's a big commitment, and they do it fantastically, you know. And some great writings by Nem and Pyrus and all the other individuals in the support group. But like I say, they're not answerable to anyone else except for me and Tommy, so that's just the way it is. And that's the way we've set it up, deliberately. So, you know, if everybody can get off their back and get off Hel's back, you know, we wouldn't be who we are today without the support group. That's a fact, I can tell you that now. That's 100%. Right, where have we gone on to that now? Oh yeah, so that's the support group out of the way. Also, we've got update on Tommy. Tommy has been moved from Bedford Prison after Wandsworth now to Woodhill Maximum Security Prison. You know, the poor lad's stuck in there, double A, category A prisoner. You know, he shouldn't even be on remand, let alone in a maximum security prison. And they moved him out of Bedford in the back of a taxi because all the Muslim youth and the prisoners were threatening to kill him, verbally, shouting out loud. The governor panicked because all the non-Muslim prisoners started banging on the cell doors, shouting out EDL, EDL. Now the governor panicked, so much so he threw him in the back of a taxi. You know, that's got to be unprecedented. I've never heard of that in my life. So a category A, a so-called category A prisoner for maximum security being shipped off to a cat A prison in the back of a taxi with 2 guards. You know, dubious, very dubious, and he shouldn't even be in there, truth be known. But he's got a lovely wife, he's got 3 children under 5 at home. At Christmas, he's in prison, he's away from his family. I know things are austerity and it's Christmas, but all the donations for his funds and his family and to help him get through it, you know, it's greatly appreciated. I know he appreciates it no end. Absolutely, you know. He's my cousin as well, in the same breath, he's in there. So, you know, God bless him. Just if you can just keep doing what you're doing, supporting him and sending him letters and postal orders and donations into the pot for his legal fund, his family, that would be fantastic. I know I really appreciate it, so does his family, you know. Big Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from them, you know. God bless him, he's suffering in there, you know. They're trying to break him. So we can just keep doing, the best way to support him is to just keep doing what we're doing, you know, keep moving forward. I know there's a lot of talk and rumourville in councils around the country, especially Luton. They're laughing, thinking that, you know, we've suffered some major blow, that we're going to be defeated and crushed. You know, whether they put Tommy in prison and me in prison, which they probably will put me in prison as well at some stage, but that still won't be the end of the EDL. You know, it's entrenched. The EDL is never ever going to go away. Never. It's entrenched into the fabric of our society. They don't like that, but that's the truth. You know, just even thousands of individuals walk around with English Defence League tattoos. You know, so the establishment needs to understand, and the people out there that are working against us, the lefties and stuff. Listen, folks, EDL is for life, not just for Christmas. You get me? So you need to understand that. So you're never going to get rid of the English Defence League. We're here forever, and we're getting bigger and stronger every day, and we're global. So God bless Tommy. You know, he's in jail, and we've got to have to remember all the other patriots that are in jail. There's some fantastic boys and girls in jail all over the place. I think Ned Kelly's just got out. But, you know, we've got Bernard from North West, we've got North East lads in there, North West lads, we've got Midlands lads, we've got Southern lads. There's lads from all over the country and lasses in jail, loss of liberty. There's no greater sacrifice you can give than giving up your liberty outside of giving up your life. So I know that, I feel sure that all the ROs and divisional leaders in their areas, wherever they are, know who's in prison in their area for the English Defence League, and would be doing their best for them to make raise funds for benefits, you know, to help their families while they're in prison. So I feel sure that that'll all be taken care of. Fair play to them. So that's the update on Tommy. You know, he's been stitched up like a kipper. Like I say, I'm on police bail till the 20th of February, so I can't be at any EDL demos or organisations. I'll be outside that prison in a tent, and that's a fact. I would be there today, tomorrow. I would be there with a megaphone. They've just raided my home again, which is, you know, they've got to think about putting doors in, the police. So that's my, that was the last warrant they've left, looking for devices for my laptops and stuff and phones, and you know, but they didn't get them. So that's that one out of the way. That's my bail conditions, which I'm not allowed at any EDL demos or affiliated groups or demonstrations. So until the 20th of February, I won't be able to deal with that. So this is what they're doing, you know, they're pressuring us, they're trying to, they think they're going to cut the head off a snake. No, they won't. They're dreaming. You know, they're not playing the game. They're just being well out of order, really. Trying to put a lot of pressure on. So that's that. Talking of ROs, obviously when Tommy got locked up, things weren't moving as quick as I would like them to have moved. You know, we're all human. You know, we're not Salvation Army, and I'm not the leader of the Sally's Army. I'm co-leader of the English Defence League. So, you know, we didn't get here by writing strong letters. We got here because, you know, we've got a pair of bollocks really. So and we're prepared to put our heads on the block, and we're not afraid to speak up and get stuck in. So that's how it's went, and then obviously things can get heated, and I've gone into the RO room a couple of times, and things weren't moving as quick as what I wanted them to be, and things weren't happening, and you know, I've read up, and tensions have got high and stuff like that, and people get upset, but you know, I apologise for that if it's upset anybody, but it's only because I'm, you know, at the time we was in such a mess, pardon me, trying to get things sorted for Tommy, and the Germans beat us to it outside the British Embassy in Germany, which didn't make us look very good, but you know, and tensions can boil over and people get upset, so you know, apologies to anybody if you're upset. It's never a personal thing, it's water under the bridge for me, let's move forward. That's that. British Freedom and English Defence League. Right, British Freedom and English Defence League. Now, Tommy put a statement out saying that he was leaving the British Freedom and I was staying, and but it's the way he worded it, which I pulled him up on afterwards, it made it sound as if I was moving away from the English Defence League. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. You know, I'm not, even when they get hold of me and they cut my head off, which I hope they don't, but it would say English Defence League, right down to the bottom of my feet. And because that's the way it is. You know, I co-founded this movement and I've led from the front. Now people have been challenging, putting out saying stupid stuff, what's leadership doing? Well, I'll tell you what leadership are doing. 50% of leadership's in prison, in a category A over Christmas. The other 50% is on police bail. You know, life is very, very difficult at the leadership level, yeah. You're unemployable. So, you know, I'm dealing with this Christmas in a situation that I'd rather not be in. You know, who wants to employ Tommy Robinson or Kev Carroll? You know, think about it. The violence and these people, and I put a non-rhetorical statement out before about wearing the hat of EDL leadership, and I actually got replies and people contact me all the time saying I fancy myself for the job, Kev, and which makes me giggle because trust me, it's a hat that once you put on you can't take off, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, to be honest with you. The stress and you know everything that comes with it. My family have to live in a separate home to me to keep them safe, and I have to visit them. And Tommy has to live in a secret address, and you know, and living in Luton, you know, a population of approximately 50,000 Muslims. Not that we've got anything against Muslims, which I haven't. That's another myth that we need to bust right here. Our problem is with the extremist Muslims that want Sharia and want to smash democracy and our way of life. Well, it ain't going to happen. Not on our watch. So if that's what you want, then we have a problem. But if you just want to be a normal, peaceful, hard-working Joe like the rest of us, no problem with you whatsoever. You know, live and let live. That's the way it should be. But we've got these people going on about leadership. Trust me, you know, and the same old chestnut. And I say, look, when you get your first phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning, threatening to cut your kids' heads off and telling you where they go to school, you won't be able to get that hat off your head quick enough. You know, and you'll never want to put them boots on again. You won't want to walk in them. Trust me, you know, it's a constant thing. 365 days a year, 7 days a week, and it always comes at you when you least want it and least need it. You know, I've had it twice in 2 days now. Just twice when I was out to a Christmas shop, and you know, you end up having a fisticuffs in the middle of some shop or some centre. And it's a constant thing all the time, you know, it's a constant thing. You wouldn't want it and you don't want it, you know, and then people are challenging me and I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute. You know, me and Tommy started this and we shook hands and we made a pact to see it through to the end no matter what happens. And I've been with him side by side in everything we've ever done. Whether it was getting on the roof at FIFA, I'm on the other side of that picture, you know, that banner. Whether it was being arrested at the poppy burning, I was arrested on a serious charge. I was looking at 5 years for something I hadn't done. But we both got arrested and I actually stood trial for that. 5 times I went to court and I stood trial for that and was found not guilty with 6 police officers from the Met testifying against me and I had no witnesses. And I got a not guilty, which I got to tell you was a bit of a leg buckler. And then, but you know, there's lots of things like that that's happened to me, and you know, people trying to shoot me, stab me, and all sorts of stuff. And you know, I'm lucky to be here today. If it wasn't for a guy called Rob from Biggleswade, I must put a big shout out to Rob. Merry Christmas to you and your family. God bless you. And, if he didn't pull over and let me get in his vehicle, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I'd have been getting stabbed by 3 or 4 scumbags with knives. That's why I was out leafleting with for the British Freedom for the Police Crime Commissioner. So I'm still die-hard English Defence League. I've never been away and I've been busy and I just do what I do. It's just that I'm doing politics as well. and I can do both of them. You know, my shoulders are broad enough to do it, and I can handle it. So that's the way it is. So no one's telling the English Defence League that you have to support British freedom. You don't have to support them. You don't have to vote for them. You know, I hope you support me in the fact that I'm involved in it and I'm at the forefront of it, and you know how I think and feel. So if you know, just go onto the website and give it a go at looking at, and see what you think. You know, I hope you support me. I can do that, and English Defence League. It's not a problem for me at all. So no one's saying you have to support. So I mean, if you want to vote Green Party or Monster Raven, vote. You know, or don't vote even. It's up to you. You know, I hope you support us. You know, I think we're going to be a massive party. You know, one's a street animal and one's a political animal. So I just recognise that it's no good looking on the outside in through the window. You know, not being at the table to affect change. You know, you've got to be in that room, your feet under the table, and say, no, this is how it's going to be. So that's the way I think, you know, and I recognise the fact that you have to go and engage in politics to affect change, you know, and between the street movement and the political thing, we can achieve wonders, you know, and I just recognise that, that's all it is. But you don't have to support, you know, I'd appreciate if you did, but you don't have to. So that's the British freedom thing. Obviously I ran for the Police Crime Commissioner. That gave them the willies, 10.6% of the vote. I'm just trying to think of something else that I haven't covered. You know, obviously, get back to the leadership thing, people challenges. These people's muppets. Oh yeah. While I remember, these idiots, right? These lunatics, these deluded weirdos. All these different breakaway groups. Have we done? Yeah. What is it? We've got this. What's this one that sounds like some sort of dodgy electrical company? EVF. Oh, clowns. Do me a favour, will you? You know. And then there's there's so many of these weirdos. EVF. Then we've got what is it? Oh yeah, there's some organised southeast arseholes, something like that. Then there's, what's the other one? Southeast arseholes. EVF, Southeast arseholes. Oh, something son of an idiot, or sons of Egypt, or something like that. And that run by another twat. You know, these guys are egomaniacs. They're muppets, deluded. I mean, if they honestly think that their little silly little wally groups are going to become even 1% of English Defence League, we're global. We're the biggest, we're a household name. We're the biggest thing on the planet when it comes to counter-jihad. English Defence League, that's all it's about. That's it. It's the biggest movement on the globe against this. And these little Mickey Mouse groups run by these overinflated egomaniacs, you know, me and Tommy and the rest of them, I can't help laughing at them because it's pretty comical. Some of the names they come out with and some of the rhetoric they come out with. You know, get a grip, lads. You know, you're a bunch of mushrooms. You know, mugs. Just you need to grow up. You know, it's either EDL or nothing. That's the way it's going to be. They're never going to accomplish anything. They're never going to achieve anything. So you know, this another one, New Plonkers Alliance. That's what I call it. I mean, Tommy, we just laugh at them. That's another one. You know, there's loads of them. Just ignore them, folks. You know, they're not. They're all false patriots. They're all pretending to be. You know, but none of them have put their head on a block. Ask any of them to do what me and Tommy do, and they will run a mile. You know, will run a mile. Like I say, the first death threat they get to their families or their kids, or after 6 months of constantly fighting in McDonald's and shopping centres and getting into scrapes and abuse and death threats and phone calls and being ostracised and hassled by the police and tempted, murdered and everything. The whole package that comes with the EDL leadership. They'll be gone. So it's one of those really, you know, dreamers. And I think there is smoking. So so that's that out of the way. Let's them Mickey Mouse splinter groups. Just want to say a massive thank you to the European Defence Leagues, SIOE, you know, Pam and Robert and Anders Gravers and SION, you know, all the other counter-jihad movements across the world, the German Defence Leagues, you know, the Dutch, you know, the Swedish, you know, all these defence leagues throughout Europe, Spain, France, Russia, everywhere, Australia, America, all the defence leagues. You know, a massive thank you for all the culmination of support. We've got this global alliance now, and a European alliance, and a global alliance, and hopefully together we can really achieve big things this year. We're going to be announcing a new strategy, we're getting a strategy and a new plan. It'll be getting printed out and sent to the ROs individually, and then they can notify their divisional leaders and the people in their areas. And it's going to be a whole new strategy now, and you know, it's going to be positive, and we'll get really busy in this new year. You know, what we want to do is we want to get back the old impetus we had. We want to get back in there and get as many feet on the ground as we can. Get them in there. Make Manchester on the 2nd of March the biggest demo. Let's start the year off with a massive bang. I think we're going to do less demos this year, nationals, because people can't afford it, and I think having too many is counterproductive. So I think, you know, we have less nationals, and then just have the regionals, you know, locals, let people do what they want to do. But you're all your own leaders, you know, all your ROs and all your divisional leaders and you yourselves. It's up to you, you know, be your own leaders, as long as it's within the ethos of the English Defence League's mission statement, and it you know, has no chance of getting us in trouble as a movement and prescribed. Get out there and do your stuff, proactive. Don't wait for us to, you know, to get the green light. Get out there and be your leaders, be your regional organisers, be your divisional leaders, be members of the English Defence League. Get out there and take it to them. You know, bring it to them. You know, whatever you do is okay with me and Tommy, as long as it's within the realms of our ethos. So that's another thing out of the way. Good luck to you, you know. So let's make Manchester a massive one first off the bat. You know, like I say, they're trying to cause division, the authorities, between the north and the south, and the northeast and the northwest, and the southeast, southwest. Never going to happen. We're galvanised. That's it. End of story. Too late. We're already galvanised. So, you know, we're all fighting for the same cause. My loyalties are to the Union Jack, to our sovereign nation, United Kingdom, same as Tommy's. You know, this is our country. We're born here. We're born in England, live in England, die in England. And I think that's the motto. You know, and you know, we're based, built on the support for our troops and our armed forces. So, you know, God bless the British Armed Forces, best armed forces in the world, you know, without question. Fantastic boys and girls, deserve all our support. You know, so, you know, people questioning stuff, you know, my number's on the internet, anybody wants it, it's there for all and sundry, you know. You know, you'll probably have to wait in line because there'll be people on there abusing me 24 hours a day. So, you know, but I'll take whatever comes. And me, myself, you know, I think myself and Tommy's are above reproach, really, when it comes to commitment. You know, we've proved our mettle by leading from the front. And a lot of these people that are challenging us and trying to call for, oh, leadership this, leadership that. Hold on a minute. Someone just turn around and look at that person that's saying that. What have you done? What have you been doing? What has it ever cost you? What have you ever sacrificed? You know, I mean, it's cost me everything. Everything. My whole life. And same as Tommy. You know, and it's no mean feat. But, yeah, listen, you know, I'm not bleating. You won't, you know, you've never heard me complain anyway. But I'm only going through this to explain to these, you know, doubting Thomases, so to speak. And then I just keep taking whatever comes, and so will Tommy, because it's for the right thing. It's the righteous thing to do. You know, it's not about us, it's about our kids' futures and stuff, and the future of our nation, and democracy, and freedom of speech. You know, Christianity. So this is the thing. I mean, the English Defence League. You know, those letters don't just stand for English Defence League. That's not just what it means. You know, the English Defence League. It actually means something. EDL actually means something. You know, those letters weren't pulled out of a hat. You know, that stands for equality, democracy and liberty. And that's what I'm fighting for, you know, for our kids' futures, these things, and for us, and for the future of our nation. So, you know, that's what it means. So, all these clowns, you know, and defending Christianity at every turn, you know, and we as Christians tolerate and we're happy to welcome everybody into the fold. Hindus, Jews, Sikhs, Buddhists, we don't care. Black, white, Chinese, you know, I don't care if you're from Mars. As long as you're a decent Martian, hey, who cares? Play the game, you know. So it's that sort of thing. So any of that caper, and that's what we're about. So you know, I just want to say a massive thank you to all you out there, you know, and wish you a really, really Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You know, from myself and from Tommy, God bless him, he's in jail, and his family, you know, I know you wish him all the best. You know, all our thoughts and prayers with him and his family and that. So, you know, a massive thank you, like I say, to all you out there, all the English Defence League. You know, God bless you, and Christians and all over the country and all over the world fighting hard to defend democracy and liberty. You know, no surrender is our motto, and that's what we mean, what we say, you know, no surrender. So, God bless you all. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. You see, this is another thing that it's about. As you can see, that's what we are. That's what the English Defence League is, folks. You know, that's about equality, democracy, and liberty. You know, and there's a very nice individual gave this to me, and that's what it is, and that's what EDL represents. And you know, it's a righteous thing. It's a good thing. So, right. So, folks, listen. You know, once again, thanks very much for all your efforts for the whole year. You know, just want to say a massive thank you from all of us. You know, have a really great Christmas and a Happy New Year. And let's go into the new year. Let's really give it to them. Let's get into Manchester. Let's make sure Manchester's a massive demo. Let's really show them. Let's get all the feet back on the street. Let's get it back to the old ways. Let's show them that EDL's alive and kicking, and we mean business. And let's just give it to them. Well done, folks. That's all I can say to you. You know, I really much appreciated. You know, like I say, enjoy your time with your family. I'll be taking some time out myself and recoup a little bit. You know, it's been a long, hard year and a lot of stress. But, you know, everybody enjoy your family's company. And all I can say to you is, listen, you know, with Tommy in prison and other patriots in prison belonging to the English Defence League, it does make you realise, it makes me realise at the end of the day, you know, all that counts is family, really. And, you know, it's not about what's under the tree. It's about who's around the tree. And that's the thing I can leave you with. So have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. God bless you all. Many thanks. Cheers, folks. I'll tell you something else. It's not easy being the co-leader of the English Defence League and Santa. You know, it's just not easy. You just don't understand the pressures I have to go through. You know, people taking shots at me while I'm up there with the reindeers and the sleigh. I've got to go because I've got so many kids to see. I'll see you later. Merry Christmas.